As we've talked about before, officially, marijuana is illegal per the federal government. There have been no real formal acknowledgments of the potential for medical applications of cannabis from the federal government. But this month marks the first time that the National Institute on Drug Abuse, also known as NIDA, which is a research group funded directly by the U.S. government, has for the first time acknowledged that cannabis extracts may help kill certain cancer cells and reduce the size of others. Vice is reporting that NIDA quietly revised a page on its website titled Drug Facts Is Marijuana Medicine to say that there is indeed evidence from one cell culture study which says that purified extracts from whole plant marijuana can slow the growth of cancer cells from one of the most serious types of brain tumors. Significant acknowledgement, Lewis, that might send a sign of what's to come, or just a minor thing that's not really going to make a difference?
It's kind of important. I mean, I think we know what's coming. Ultimately, with states legalizing this across the board, across the country, we are eventually going to see all of this dropped at the federal level.
So we have yet another announcement going on. Let's listen. All right. I don't know if the audience heard that. So immediately after a false alarm, they've now started conducting tests of the alarm system in the building. And, it really couldn't come at a less convenient time. Here's what needs to happen with marijuana. Number one, we need to get medical marijuana nationwide, every state. Continue the work on legalization. And this is such a key thing. Reschedule marijuana from being a Schedule 1 substance for the purposes of the federal government, because that is going to drastically change so many things around the legality of the financing around legal marijuana, medical marijuana. There's just so much that would follow from rescheduling it. And we need to look at cutting mandatory minimums for nonviolent drug offenses. Nonviolent drug offenses, as we talked about with Van Jones before he got upset with me and hung up earlier this week, mandatory minimums related to nonviolent drug offenses are a huge problem. And that would be my sort of 4-point overview of what needs to happen here.
I think we should probably decriminalize small amounts of all drugs like Portugal has. I think that would be a very smart move. But hey, you know what? The prison industrial complex, it does have some pull and some sway and unfortunately a whole lot of influence.
So we have the prison industrial complex, which includes not only private prisons, which are only about 10% of prisons, or they represent about 10% of inmates in the country. But we also have the labor unions for prison employees. And typically labor is on the right side. In this particular case, they're on the wrong side in wanting to keep the war on drugs going. We have Big Pharma, which has big concerns around, hey, if marijuana is effective at treating a lot of stuff, then why would people keep using our products, which have tons of side effects, have risks, etc.? And then you also have police departments and law enforcement agencies, which have a lot of their revenue made up by drug raids and seizures and the enforcement of drugs being illegal. And then you even have smaller industries, which are not quite so small, like bail bonds. So you're right, Lewis, that there's a huge financial incentive to keep the status quo around marijuana.
Yeah, and that's, at the state level, hopefully not so much at the federal level. But, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Next, we will talk to Philippe Assouline. What's the latest with the Iran nuclear negotiations? And who even really has a right to determine which countries can have nukes and which countries cannot? We'll talk about that next.